So, a very warm welcome once again, friends, to the third session of this lecture series. In this lecture, we'll be learning about the graphical user interface of the Android Studio and what are the different modules, how it works, how you can set the configuration, preferences, everything, and so on. So, let us switch to Android Studio. So, I hope you can see my screen. If you can see here, on the top here it is the menu bar, classic menu bar, you can see here, and some options to close, minimize, restore windows. Here we have all these three classic window button. Then after that you can see it's something written here, my second app, src, main, res, layout, and then. So this will show you the point where you are this present file. So this is a content underscore main.xml file which is situated inside layout, which is inside res is for resources, which is again inside main, again inside src is for source, within the app name is my second app. So this is the kind of guide as to where you presently here. And if you click on any button, you can see if I click on res resources button, in this res I can go to any of these, like for example I can go to resources of menu, I can go to the mipmap, means the images, the raster and vector images which are situated, values in the night mode, and so on. So similarly here, if you see the src, you have three things: Android test, which is used for testing purpose, main, and test. And within app you can have these things. So this is the guide showing where presently you are, in which file you are working. So as soon as you switch to another file, it will show you the new. The good thing is that it will not only show you the file, but within the file in which function you are, that also it will show you. So say for example I am inside the function on create, it will show here on create, okay, and within on create and on click listener here, and within that on click listener you are presently inside the on click. Similarly, if I click here, so within main activity I am inside the on create options menu, and so on. So just by looking at this bar you can tell. And yes, within a file, if you click on this main activity, you can see the summary of all the functions that are available, and you can simply by clicking this button you can jump to that function. Right now it is not that useful because the program that we are using is small, but the program, when it grows and when you have maybe a few dozens of functions or maybe a few hundreds of functions within an activity or a class, this particular function will be this particular link will be very useful. After that, on the side you have a project structure. So in the project structure, this is the project structure, this box here is the project structure, and there you can see within the app we have the manifest files, then we have Java files, and then we have the resources files. But this is not the exact directory structure of the files. Okay, if you want to see the directory structure of file, instead of this Android, you have to click on this project or maybe open files, like that. Okay, so this is a kind of structure defined by Android. So within the app you can have manifest, Java, resources, and you can also have some asset. For example, a local JSON file you can have, or a local maybe database, not database, local image file you can have, or maybe a local text file which is a large file, or maybe Word or Excel file which is kept locally on the device, that will come inside the assets. Okay, all these things you can see here. And after this app there is something which is called as Gradle script. So what I would recommend, you don't disturb these Gradle scripts unless it is required. Okay, so if you see, there are two build.gradle. These Gradle files are basically, they will define how the project is to be built, or how the APK has to be built, what are the dependencies, and so on. So there are two build.gradle file. One is for project and one is for module. If you see the project, this is the Gradle file for the entire project, and if you see the module, it is only for that module. So all the dependencies that you define are defined inside the build.gradle for module, not for project. Okay, don't disturb the project. Then there are some project rules and maybe some settings. What are the project settings? What are for example, in the project setting Gradle file, you can define the name of the project and so on. Within the app, you have many other options. I would show you that the manifest file is the file which defines the permissions that your app is going to take. For example, take from the user. For example, your app is going to use the contact details of the user. Then you should define a function, not a function. You should define a permission within the manifest file that your app is going to use the contact permission whenever the user installs the app. Similarly, if you want your app to communicate with the internet or take the data from internet, in manifest file you have to define that yes, my app is going to use the permission of internet when the user is using the app. Similarly, the manifest file is also going to contain the information about the various activities within the app. So activity is a kind of screen, one particular screen, a kind of one window. If you talk in Windows terms, one window is called as one activity. So that activity can have many other components as well, and your application can have multiple activities. But out of, let's say your application is having maybe 10 activities. Out of these activities, which will be your launching activity? Means whenever the user is launching the application, which activity will be shown first? Generally, it's the main activity. Its name is main activity. It's a kind of like main function which is defined in the C++ language. So your within your app, in the Android manifest file, you have to define that this is the launcher activity. Can you see here? This activity name is main activity, the label of the activity, the theme of the activity. Finally, within the activity, you define intent filter. I am going to tell you what is meant by intent, that we are going to understand here. But intent filter is whenever the user is launching that application or the app, which activity will be used as the launcher. So here you can define the category name, and its category is the launcher and its name is main. Okay, so if you define this these two lines, if you copy and paste, cut and paste, not copy and paste, if you cut and paste these 4 lines from one activity to another activity, your another activity will become the launching activity, not this one. Okay, so this is the Android manifest, and it contains the permissions, it contains the version, it contains the icon, which icon your app will be shown whenever it is shown on the this see here, you can see here icon. So when you see this particular app inside the mobile phone, inside the Android device, what icon will be shown as the app? What should be the label? Means below the icon some text is written, which is the app name. So that app name is the label. Whether it's if your Android device supports circular icons, round circular icons, then which icon should it select, and so on. So and what is the theme and so on. So it is a kind of application specific and activity specific configuration, broad configuration of the app. Then coming to next, Java. This is the core programming part where you are going to program everything. Okay, this is the first app that we created in the previous lecture. If you can see, it gives you the programming detail. Not gives you, you have to code the programming details about the fragment, when the fragment is created, when the view of the fragment is created, and when something inside the fragment is clicked. Similarly, main activity, when the activity is created, when the option menu is created. Option menu means 3 dot on the top right corner, that is the options menu. And when you select an option within the option menu, On clicking on that, what will happen? This is the coding part. Here where you will code everything. The language is Java or Kotlin. I'm myself comfortable in Java, but you can use Kotlin as well. Android Studio, Android and Google developers, they actually uh, they have switched from Java to Kotlin recently. Similarly, for second fragment, there is some coding. Okay, you should not disturb anything within the Android test and test. Okay, these two these files within this Android test and Android test folder, they are generated automatically by the Android Studio. You should not disturb anything within this. Every programming that you are doing should be done. You should do only in the Java folder of your main core app. Then if you go to the third folder, that is the RES. RES means resources. If you see, there are drawables. Drawables means everything which can be drawn either in vector form or in the raster form. So if you see, this is the vector format for the background of the launcher. Okay, and this is the foreground of the launcher. So it's this entire shape has been defined by the path, color and other data, like for example, what is the gradient of start of the gradient, end of the gradient, what is the angle, start angle, end angle and so on of the gradient, what is the start color of the gradient, end color of the gradient and so on. So in like an XML file, like by using only text you can draw graphics. So this is a vector graphic. The advantage of vector graphic is that it does not blur out when you zoom it. So if you are going to zoom it, it's not going to blur. Okay, it's not going to pixelate. No matter how much you zoom, it's not going to pixelate. That is the advantage of the vector drawings. And of course you can have raster images also. You can have raster format images, but the limitation is that if you are going to zoom it, it is going to pixelate out. Next, in the layout, you will be defining all the layouts. Means these are all the XML files. Of course you can generate these layouts in the Java, but sometimes if your activity or the screen is not going to have very dynamic kind of layout, and it is going to have mostly the fixed, for example on the top you will have the action bar, then you can have two fixed text fields that are not going to change in position, and then after that you can have maybe a click button which is not going to change with the as you are going to use it. In that case you should prefer, I'm not saying it is compulsory, but you should prefer adding the XML file, these components in the XML file in the activity, in the layouts, and in that way it will become fixed, so your programming burden will be low. Okay, so the things, for example, you are defining let me just see this one. For example, here you have defined the text view. This is the text view. Then there is edit text. Maybe let me zoom it out a little. Okay, so here is the text on the top. Hello world is the text. Then there is something which is editable text, where the user can input the text using his on-screen keyboard. And finally you have a button called as click me. So these three are the components of this layout, and of course one layout can contain only one object. Okay, so here we wanted to have three objects. So so what we did is we put these three objects inside a separate object which can support more than one object. Okay, so for example, constraint layout, we started with constraint layout, and this constraint layout can have only one object, but we wanted three objects, so we put these three objects inside a linear layout. Linear layout can support linear layout or maybe grid layout, they support more than one objects. So within this linear layout we have kept all these three objects, and this linear layout we have kept inside the constraint layout, which is stretching from here to here. Okay, you can of course collapse and expand individual objects. So I'm going to just collapse these three things See, we have a text view, or edit text, and a button which have been collapsed, which is inside a linear layout, and this linear layout is inside the constraint layout. Okay, so this is how it works. This is how the XML of the layout works. Similarly, you have XML files for every layout. Generally, you should have XML file for each and every layout that you want to use inside the app. For example, these kind of layouts are also useful in using or in creating the dialog boxes which are shown in a similar fashion across the activities. For example, you want to have a dialog box that shows some text and some button and some images, and this dialog box is being popped up by different activities with different values. So what you can do is you can define the layout of that dialog inside the layout file, and then call that layout file inside the dialog. That is possible. Okay. Next is the menu. You can have different options for menu. This is the top right. If you see the top right corner of any app, generally there are three dots. When you click on that three dot, a pop-up menu will open. The values of these menu is stored in the menu underscore main.xml, which is kept inside menu, which is kept inside the res folder. So if you see the text of it, I'm clicking on split. So this is a item. This is one item. If you want to add more items, you can add in this way. You just copy this thing, paste it, keep on pasting. So let's say the first one is ID has to be separate. ID cannot be same for two different objects. You cannot have the same ID. So let's say the ID is for my first, it's, let's say, save, and its name is save. Okay, it will show as save. Then say load, delete, options, and finally let's say exit. Okay, so when the user clicks on this menu bar, these five options will be shown. Okay, you can have any kind of any number of options. There is no limit to the number of options that you can have. And when the user clicks on that particular button, what happens, that you will define in the Java file. Okay, so here it will only tell you, or here you can only define the text which is to be shown, what is the ID of it, whether it should be visible always or never or when, okay, and so on. So presently show as action means it will never be shown on the top toolbar. So for example, there are some buttons that you want as an icon on the top action bar always. For example, refresh. In that case, if you want this thing to be shown always, then you just make it always. Okay, so here you are not able to see it as an icon because we have not defined the icon. So to define the icon, you have to just give the icon property, and first you have to import as a drawable, and then you have to define the icon. So I'm going to draw one icon. I'm just going to show you how to do it. Right click, a new vector asset, and inside this, let's say I want to have a refresh icon. refresh, click OK, click OK, and finish. Okay, and here in the icon, refresh, so it will show as a refresh icon on the top action bar. I hope I am able to make it clear. There are many other options, and we are going to explore these all one by one. Uh, Presently, we are looking only after the on the graphical user interface of the Android Studio. So once we go into the app development, we'll see all these options in detail. Uh, then this is what I have explained in the menu. Uh, how to program it? You have to use this ID, because at the rate plus ID means create a new ID with the name of delete. Okay, so that delete is the ID that you will use inside your main program, and in the runtime you can decide when the activity is loaded or when the activity is created. At that time you will define that when the user clicks on this delete button, what happens. It is going to delete what, okay, and from where. This is how it does. Right now if you run this app, it is going to show all these menus, but it is not going to do anything. Okay. Next is MipMap. MipMap is a kind of these are all the graphics. Okay, for different resolution of screen. For example, you are having a small screen or large screen or medium screen with what density. Okay, the same screen size can have different number of pixels in the x and y direction, because the density can be different. So it basically depends that what are the number of pixels in the x and y direction. So what is the total number of megapixels inside the screen, and based on that it will use which type of icon. Okay, so HDPI, it will use this icon. Okay, it will use this icon. And if you see medium DPI, it will use this icon. If you see extra HDPI, it will use this icon. Okay, and maybe triple X HDPI means very large screen, it will use this icon. So your application can actually define that which icon will be shown on which type of screen. Similarly for round, okay. Obviously if you are using for a larger icon for a smaller screen, it is going to use more memory, and for a larger screen, if you use a small icon, it will pixelate. So that is why there are options based on the screen size and resolution. It will choose automatically which icons to select. Okay, then you go to navigation and then values. Values are important, navigation is not that important, because it's not you don't need this kind of navigation graphically, because what we will do is we will simply use the Java program file to define our navigations. That is easier, and that is easier to build also, and that is easier to maintain also. Okay, if you see the values, you can define colors which are used inside your app. Then dimensions, presently it's only a one single dimension, the FAB means a favorite action button, margin. And finally you can define the strings. Okay, in dimension you will store what are the different dimensions, like for example what should be the offset between different icons, what should be the margins on each side, on the top or bottom or left side, and so on. These dimensions generally used to define or to reorient the icons and different text and images during the runtime. Okay, in strings you define all the strings. These strings, although you can hard code these strings inside the Java file or inside the layout file, but it is not recommended, because this resources string file is language based. So for example, the user is using English as his preferred language. The icons listed inside the string English string file will be used. But if the user changes his language to Hindi, then the app will automatically take the text and string from the Hindi string file. Okay, so what I would recommend is you should never hard code the strings inside the Java or even inside the layout file. You should always put the strings inside the strings file, and by this ID, for example, this app name, this action settings, okay, or for example, second fragment level. From here, you should, using this ID, you should call the strings inside the Java or inside the layout. This is what I recommend. I will just show you an example. For example, the menu that we created, okay, this menu, this is an XML file, okay, this is an XML file. Here I have directly hard coded the option. Why it is not showing option? Okay, I just inside instead of this. Okay, never, and I don't want a. Okay, so for example, these options, I have hard coded the options. I have written OPTIONS, but instead of this, or instead of English, if the user is selecting Hindi language, then it should show the translation of Hindi. Okay, it should show the translation of options in Hindi. So instead of hard coding these kind of strings within the layout, what you should do is you should go to string and you should create a string here. String name is say menu underscore options. All right, and options. Now whenever you fetch this particular resource string with the ID menu options, it will display as options. Okay, so how it is done? Here I want to fetch that particular string, so start can you see here @ and string I have put, so it will take the it is going to fetch the strings. @ is for resources and strings, string resource, and from that menu options. Okay, and then you can create another file with Hindi local. With Hindi local you can create a new file, and within that file you can copy paste everything and put the translations, okay, in Mangal font. In Mangal font, or from Google Translate you can simply copy and paste, and as soon as the user switches his language in his operating system, the text of the menu items will also change to Hindi. So this is why string file has its own importance. Okay, dimension I have already explained, and finally the themes. I think from Android KitKat or so, Android has started supporting themes. So here you can have themes like dark mode, or maybe light mode, maybe night mode. Okay, so for different themes there are different colors. See, color primary variant, color on primary, and color secondary variant, and color on secondary. These are different colors. But if you see night mode, the colors will change. So in night mode, what happens? In the text is shown as light on the dark background, and in the day theme, not in the light theme or day theme, the background is white and the text is dark. The advantage of night mode or dark theme is that it consumes less battery. Okay, so in some models, in not always models, especially in the LED based models, if the theme you are selected, the theme that you have selected is night or dark theme, then battery will last longer, because less number of LEDs will be illuminated. Okay, so this is the entire structure of the project. Plus there are assets also, although we have not created any asset. Like for example, we can put SSL certificate inside that, or digital signature inside that, or maybe some other file, encryption file, decryption file, some text file, any kind of file if you want to embed inside your application, you should put inside the asset folder. That you have to create here by right clicking and creating a new folder named as assets. And within that assets you can put all these large files. These large files can be retrieved by your application in the runtime. Okay. Gradle script I have already explained. You should not disturb mostly the Gradle project file, but you can make editing in the Gradle module file. Okay. going to close all these things. And now this is the project structure of the Android entire application. If you see the next, if you see on this packages, these are all the different packages, but they are not sorted. Okay, so the same thing, all the same files, but they are sorted based on the folder, alphabetic order of the folder. So this is not user friendly because you will not be able to search easily. So I would recommend you should not use this. Within the project file you can see all these project files. It is similar to the Android structure, but little bit different. It is next, production is the production source folder, and test is the files which are being generated by Android Studio when you are building it or when you are running it. Okay, these are the project resource files. Within the app, within the SRC, you have Android test, you have main, and you have test. These are all the project resource file. Non-resource files, not resource, the source file is non-source file. Source file are everything where you can do coding, where you can do Java programming, and non-source files are the kind of static files in which you cannot have any kind of programming. Okay, you cannot have any loops, or you cannot have any if condition. For example, this fixed layout, or for example a string file, or for example that colors file. These are all the non-source file. Okay, you cannot have programming in that. Programs, if you see, go to problems, if your code is having some compilation time error or warning, these are all will be shown here. Although right now we have created only one file from scratch, a very small file, no problems are found. But let me just create a problem intentionally. See, I have deleted a less than greater than sign here, and it has shown that yes, there is some problem inside app, inside SRC, inside main, resources, layout, and activity main, and here it is. So what is the problem? Start tag is not closed. So I have started with a start tag, but I have not closed it. So you just go to this red warning mark, and it will show you what is the problem. Okay, just close it. Or let's say I forgot to close this thing. It will again show here, for example, the unexpected end of file. So it expected a closing of this coordinator layout, but the file closed without that. Inside the main, inside resources, layout, here you have, and just to fix it, okay, that's it. I have fixed the file and the problems have gone. Next, you can go to open files. Only one file is open right now, but let's say I am opening 2-3 files at once, maybe this one, maybe this one. Okay, and if you go to open files, you can see all these files which are presently open. Okay, and finally the Android. I personally prefer this Android structure because it gives you clear cut classification of to within app you have manifest, Java, and resources. Within Java you have only this thing to be editable, Java file, and within resources you have drawables, layout, menu, mipmap, navigation, and values. So this is what I personally prefer, but you can, based on your programming convenience, you can use any of these. Okay, then you have something called as a resource manager. Okay, although we can see all the resources here, see, if you see the drawable, there are 3 drawables. If you see values, there are 3 different colors, dimensions in strings. If you see the menu, there is only one file, but these things you can manage from resource manager as well. Okay, so these are the 3 drawables available. These are the available colors. These are the layouts. These are the mipmaps, strings, navigation, animation, and animator, and so on. So in fact there are many more other available options. For example, you want to see the arrays. These are all the arrays which are available. Okay, in strings, if you click on this, double click, you will directly jump to the strings.xml file, and within that string.xml file, where it is, you see, this becomes important because when your project will become larger, all the text that you are going to put will be in the string file. It will be very difficult to search it. So here simply you can write menu, and everything written as menu will be shown. Okay, so it will be easier for you to search and debug and create it. Okay, you can also create the particular resource by this plus button. Okay, but I personally prefer not by this, but directly by typing it here. Okay, if you see the structure, this is the structure of the particular this strings file. If you see the activity, this is the structure. Within main activity I have on create options, and on create options menu button. And let's say on second fragment I have two different subroutines. Within content main I have got constraint layout. Within constraint layout, this is the constraint layout. Within constraint layout I have a linear layout. Within linear layout I have a text view. Within that within linear layout I have a text view, edit text, and button, all the three. Okay, so same thing written in text format, shown in the graphical format, and also shown in a kind of structured way of representation. Okay, same thing. Okay, so you are comfortable, you might be comfortable with any other options as well, because I'm personally comfortable with the writing text, because I have the control over what I'm writing, and I don't lose control to Android Studio like that. Okay, you can add some favorites by right clicking and adding to favorites. Those favorites will be shown here. And build variants, if you are keeping it as debug, there are only two variants available, debug and release. If you keep it as debug, the everything that you are logging during the runtime will be shown on the ADB bridge that we are going to see when we run on this. So if you see this logcat, can you see this logcat? In this logcat it will be shown the debug message that you are printing during the runtime of the app. These will be displayed on this logcat if you keep it as debug. And if you keep it as release, these options will not be shown. These things will not be displayed. Okay, because it considers, if you make it as a release version, it considers that you are going to put this app on the App Store, and now the user which is going to use should not be able to see your debug messages. Okay, so that is why if you change it to release, it is not going to display the so this is sometimes some people have this problem that whatever they are trying to log onto the logcat, they are not able to see it. Why? Because they have switched from the it is still not loading. It happens because they have switched from the debug version to the release version. So whenever you are in the development environment, you should always select the debug version. Okay, so it is, I'm not able to switch it back, but no issues. Then after that, this is the main window where you can do all the coding, you can write all the text, and if you select the split option, graphical representation of the text will be shown on the right side. Okay, you can also only see the code, or you can see the split, or you can only see the design. It's up to you. Okay, in design, instead of writing as code, you can write inside these text box. Okay, what is the rotation, what is the rotation x, y, scale x, scale y, and so on. Okay, so instead of typing it or writing it in form of code, you can write these values inside these text boxes as well. Okay, I personally prefer this thing where I have a preview on the right side and text on the in the middle. Okay, then on the right side there is there are some options available in form of a toolbar, wherein you can run the app, you can make the app, you can debug the app, or instead of app you can go to other configurations as well. You can also see the resources which are being consumed by your app. Okay, so for example, you want to see when the app is running, how much CPU is being used, or how much RAM is being used, or how much GPU is being used. Then you can click on this particular resource profile app, resource monitor kind of thing, and you can see the CPU consumption, the RAM consumption, the GPU consumption, battery consumption, and so on of the Android device when the app is running. But for small projects, this thing is not that much relevant. But let's say for game developers or for very high-end software developers, this resource manager is important. Okay, so there are many other options available. There is a very interesting option called as capture, screen capture. So where the Android mobile screen can be captured, and within that, within the Android Studio, you can analyze that what went wrong when you wanted to render the view. Okay. On the extreme left right side, you can see the Gradle. These are the Gradle values that you can see here. These are the dependencies and so on. You can add the dependencies here, or you can add the dependencies in the Gradle file in the text format as well. I'm going to change this thing back to debug, maybe later. And then maybe this is the layout validation that I was talking about, where the layout, this has been generated by the content main.xml file, but you can capture the layout directly from your Android device as well. Okay, so let's say one button or one text or one image has been added programmatically by the Java file, that you can see capture the layout from Android device, and then you can inspect it there where it is not working properly. Okay, this is the layout validation part. Okay, so I'm just going to minimize it. Everything you can minimize and you can restore, or you can even pop it out. Okay, so then if we talk about the last part, okay, this is the bottom kind of toolbar where you have 4 options: to do, terminal, database inspector, profiler, 5 options, logcat, and there will be a 6th option which will be added when you run the program, which will be called as run. When you run that particular app, a new option will come here which will be called as run. To do means everything that you have marked as pending. Okay, so let's say I am doing something, and when I am programming this thing, I realize that I have to, based on this create options, I have to add a few more options. Okay, so I can just write to do add more options to save the work. It will highlight it here, and then you keep on working. Okay, you keep on marking here, you keep on doing it. To do, fix. Of course, you don't have to mark this thing, fix this error, because without fixing this error, your program will not run. But just to highlight the importance of to do, I'm giving you this thing, and then you keep on working, and then you lose track. Then you lose track of what you wanted to do at that time. Okay, so what you do is you go to this to do, and it will just tell you what are the things that you wanted to do. You have marked as to do. Okay, so it is very useful when you are doing big projects. Okay, so here I wanted to add more options, and here I wanted to fix this error. So as soon as you delete this thing, it will delete this entry from here as well. Okay, so you don't have to search for to do. It will automatically highlight, and it will automatically list everything. It's not only in one, you can also add a to do inside the layout. So for example, here I want to make this as password field. Okay, to do, not like this, to do, okay, make a password field. I wanted to make a password field, but now I don't have time, so that is why I marked it, and I progress with my rest of the work. And then in the to do file, I go to layout, and here I can see I have to make it a password field. Okay, so this is the to do. You can add to dos inside the XML files as well as inside the Java files. Okay, This is the terminal which is a kind of shell. If you want to run some external script, or if you want to run some command on the Windows, or it's a kind of command prompt. Okay, so let's say I want to see the directory. This will show the directory. It's a kind of command prompt built inside the Android Studio. Okay, so everything like running a batch file, running Windows DOS commands you can run from here. Okay, database inspector, right now we don't have any database as such, so it is not going to show anything. But once we create database inside our app, it will show the database. Entire database means what are the number of tables within the tables, what are the structure within the structure, what is the column layout, and not layout, the column properties, and so on. Okay, how many rows are there, what is the data, and so on. This is the profiler that I was talking about. Here you can see what are the usage of your app on the device, how much CPU it is using, how much RAM it is using, how much storage it is using, and so on and so forth, GPU and so on. Okay, so presently I am not connected to any Android device, so it is blank. But simply you just, when you go into the debugging mode, you will be able to see the profile. So in our next session we are going to, next or maybe next to next session, we are going to see how this profiler works and how you can make use of this. Logcat I have briefly already discussed. You can select the connected device, then you can see the connected process, and based on that connected process, what are the debug outputs. Debug output means when you want to print something to console, means in the runtime what is the value of my variable so and so. Okay, you want to print it for debugging purpose, that you can do that. Those things will be shown in the logcat, and it is not necessary that you have to build and upload the script. Okay, there are some messages which are being generated in runtime continuously by the Android device and the different apps, which are used for debugging of the those apps as well. Okay, those also you can see here. Okay, in the logcat. Finally, the event log. What are the events that have taken places? Means when you build it, when you run it, when you make it, when you install it on your app, on your device, and so on. All these events will be created in form of a log. Okay, and this is the layout inspector that I was talking again. You can capture the component here, and then you can see this is the same thing. This is the layout inspector. Here also you can see the layout validation. These are the same things. Here you can inspect and capture the layouts, and then you can validate it in the layout validator. Okay, I'm just minimizing these things. So basically friends, this is the here you can see the CRLF is the line separator. You can have only the CR, LF, or both of them. Okay, LF means line feed, CR means carriage return. There is a slight difference between these two because Mac OS considers something different than Windows. So it is better to use both of these, CR, LF. So if you are using only CR, it will be detected only by the Windows, and if you are using LF, line feed, it will be detected only by the iOS. So it is better to go for CRLF. So it will put both these two things, CR and LF, means carriage return as well as line feed. It will be detected by both the Windows as well as by the iOS. 4 spaces. This is the amount of spaces that are given when you press a tab. Okay, when you press a tab, see 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 spaces it has given. So here you can configure if you want to use different number of spaces when you are giving a tab. Okay, and finally some of the Android Studio related health of the Android Studio related icons. Okay, they are not so much important. So basically friend, this is the overall layout of the Android Studio graphical user interface that we have seen. Of course, when you start working on it, you will feel more connected to Android Studio, and you will feel more friendly about the Android Studio. So this was just a quick start that I have given you. You can keep on exploring the studio. You can keep on exploring the software, and obviously when we'll create the apps, we'll get more insight into the totality of the software, or the depth of the software, I would say. So that's it for now. Tomorrow we have a session on introduction to Java, XML, and SQL for creating Android apps. So I will be discussing briefly about the programming languages. Three languages you have to learn. I would not say these are languages. Java is a language, yes. You can do programming, you can do scripting. But XML, it's a markup language. It's a tag-based markup language similar to the HTML and HTML. And finally, SQL is for database handling. So tomorrow we'll be discussing about the these three components which are used to create the apps in Android Studio. So thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.